Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more current transfer rumours and gossip. So if you do consider drop your likes, and if you do consider subscribe to the channel as always. So as I did basically give you an update on yesterday in regards to Milinkovic Savic, I also give you the latest news about Nicolas Pepe, and of course I also give you the latest news about Bruno Fernandes. So obviously positive news has been coming out in regards to them players, and of course if Manchester United, were to get all three players on the board, I do believe, they would cost us in the region of around £200 million, because obviously Sporting has been wanting around £60 million for Bruno Fernandes. Reports have recently been said about Milinkovic Savic, that we're set to get him for around £67 million, including bonuses, and potentially, Nicolas Pepe is going to cost us around £70 million, so that's going to mount up to around £200 million in total. So obviously, we've got a lot of targets on our agenda, because we still know these are lots to currently address in the squad. Obviously, this summer, we've spent £65 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, and obviously, we've seen glimpses of what good signings, they've proven to be so far, Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, because obviously, they've started pre-season, absolutely fantastically well, and I do believe, with Daniel James, he's still a prospect, and I still believe, he needs time to develop, and of course, over Wan-Bissaka, I do believe, he's got all the ingredients required, to become a huge success at Manchester United, so they have done really well in pre-season so far. But obviously, I do believe now Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's priorities, he wants to recommend an experienced centre-half in, he'll also want to add reinforcements in that midfield, and of course, Manchester United are in search for a current white winner. So there is basically still lots to address in the squad. These just over 2 weeks now remaining this transfer window, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say that he's hopeful that we can get at least one or two more players in before this current window does shut, because analysing our current squad at the moment as it stands, it's potentially not good enough, it's not competitive enough, and I said regardless of what manager we've got, even if we had a manager to the highest level, they would still struggle, this current Manchester United squad. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was recently talking about our ambitions for next season, and he believes, we'll be aiming for further up than fourth, and that in the Premier League this season. I do believe we'll probably have a better season this season in the Premier League, than we saw last season, because obviously, we finished sixth, and we didn't win any silverware, and we haven't won any silverware in the past couple of seasons, so we need to see vast improvements definitely, going on into this season. But we have, of course, had a fantastic start to pre-season, because I do believe, the majority of the young players have really stepped up to the plate. But there has been growing frustration around Manchester United, in regards, to our transfer business, because obviously, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't get all the players he wants, you can basically say, that the board have definitely, let him down, because obviously the board did assure that there was going to be backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that this summer. We do know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, wants to bring young players in, that can grow, develop and emulate into superstars. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer believes he's following a policy that proved successful under Alex Ferguson. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was recently, talking about our recruitment policy. But we haven't been competitive enough in the last couple of windows, because we didn't sign anyone in January. Obviously, we didn't sign anyone we didn't get as a number one target last summer. So we have got to be competitive in this current window. But like I said, just over 2 weeks now currently remaining. I believe if we do get any more players on the board, I think it will probably one or two at the most. I don't think we'll get 3 or 4 players in space of just over 2 weeks and all that. So that's my current opinion on that. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did basically say, there's been lots of speculations, speculation about players coming in, and of course players going. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say he's very adamant that we don't need to sell players. I believe we need to sell players, to help us generate funds and of course rebuild the squad. But he's very adamant, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, that we're not intending on overspending on our transfer tags, and quite a few people said, we should be sensible with our recruitment this summer. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has spoken to the vast majority of our players, throughout the course of the summer. But like I did currently say, so as reports broke out yesterday in regards to Milinkovic Savic. Now this was coming from La Repubblica, which is an Italian outlet, and it did say Manchester United are closing in on the signing of Milinkovic Savic, and looking at it now, according to recent reports, he could be our third signing this summer. So it reportedly says, the fee, and that's been agreed reportedly, the contract term and that has been agreed. So reportedly, we're set to sign him for around €75 million, which obviously equates to around just over 67 million in pounds sterling. And I do believe there's also bonuses included in the deal. And reportedly, Milinkovic Savic is set to sign a 5-year deal and that with Manchester United. Obviously, we are seeing him as a replacement for Paul Pogba. Obviously, a lot of the talks were going on about this the other week. It was coming from Sky in Italy, and they were basically saying that Manchester United had submitted around the £72 million bid. Obviously, it didn't, as you say, Lazio Lazio wanted in the region around £90 million. But I do believe now they're willing to accept offers of in the excess of around £70 million and all that. So I think we're set to get him for around 67 million, plus with bonuses included in the deal. So I think we're set to get him for around maybe £70 million in total. So do you think Milinkovic Savic, would be a good replacement for Paul Pogba? Obviously, Manchester United have been relentlessly linked to him. I think we was also in for him last summer, because I do believe last summer Lazio wanted in the region of around £108 million. Obviously, I don't think Manchester United were willing to pay that. So to be fair to Lazio, they have initially lowered their asking price. Obviously, I think in his 4 years with Lazio in the Serie A, he has scored 22 goals in 125 games. And I think in all competitions he scored 31 goals in 138 games for Lazio. But like I said, he has been there 4 years. Only 24 years of age. A Serbian international. But I think it got confirmed the other week. That Manchester United had held extensive talks with Lazio. I do believe also Manchester United have held negotiations with Milinkovic Savic's agent, because I do believe his agent travelled to the UK the other week and all that. So maybe Milinkovic Savic's move to Manchester United is dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba, because Paul Pogba, Manchester United's future still remains uncertain at the moment. So there's still a possibility that Paul Pogba could be at the football club when we do currently play Chelsea. But do you think it would be a good replacement for Paul Pogba? Milinkovic Savic obviously signed a new deal last October with Lazio, so he is under contract with them until 2023. I do believe quite a few other teams have inquired about his services, but according to what I've seen, La Repubblica, which is an Italian outlet, said Manchester United have agreed a fee, they've agreed a contract term and all that, and Lazio have actually agreed to sell the player. So do you believe he's got all the attributes to come and succeed in the Premier League? Do you think he'll exceed expectation levels at Manchester United if he does currently come in? But yeah, he's proven in the majority of his 4 years with Lazio, that he can score goals, he can create chances. He's been a bit inconsistent in the last 5 or 6 months. I do believe he can play as a central midfielder. I do believe he can also play as an attacking midfielder. I do believe he's also been deployed as a defensive midfielder, as Milinkovic Savic. But reportedly now, we've identified him as our number one priority target, of course, to replace Paul Pogba at the football club, because we do need new additions in that midfield. And regardless of what happens with Paul Pogba, I still think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's orchestrating, bringing a couple of new additions in that midfield. So reportedly now we may have prioritised Milinkovic Savic over Bruno Fernandes, according to recent reports. So reportedly the fees being agreed, the contract and that has been agreed. It's €75 million. There's also various add-ons included in the deal, and €75 million, like I said, equates to around £67 million. £67 million pound sterling. But 24 years of age, still got a lot of years ahead of him. Manchester United, of course, were scouting him last summer, I think, under the Jose Mourinho Moreira. So do you think he'll be the right type of player for Manchester United? But I think also Di Marzio came out about the story the other week, and he basically said that Manchester United were in for him. He said the other week, like I said, Lazio wanted around 90 million. Manchester United reportedly submitted around the £72 million bidding for him. But initially, again, now they've lowered their asking price, because they said they're willing to accept offers of in the excess of around £70 million. So looking at ultimately, could be our third signing this summer. Obviously, as I said, we spent £65 million so far. Say we get him for around £70 million. Milinkovic Savic, that's going to take our spending spree up to around around £135 million this summer on free players. But I do believe more additional information will update about Milinkovic Savic. Obviously, as I've been updating you on a regular basis, in regards to Bruno Fernandes, obviously we do know for the entirety of the summer that Bruno Fernandes has been heavily linked with move to Manchester United. But I do believe, Sporting Lisbon's valuation, does seem to be the current stumbling block of Bruno Fernandes making his proposed move to Manchester United. I think Sporting Lisbon, do value him at around £70 million. Obviously, this is a figure that Manchester United are reluctant to pay. I think it recently did suggest out from the media that Manchester United have submitted around the 49 or £50 million bid. Obviously, that's our first formal offer, we've put in for the current player. But obviously, this is too insufficient for Sporting Lisbon, because obviously, recently, Federico Fernandes, who's the president of Sporting Lisbon, he came out, he basically, revealed what Manchester United, do need to pay for Bruno Fernandes if we've got any chance of signing the player. And he did initially say that he's going to probably take a bid in the excess of around £60 million to convince Sporting Lisbon to offload him. He even indicated out, did Federico Fernandes, that even £56 million £50 is probably not going to be enough, to convince Sporting Lisbon to offload him, because obviously I think Sporting Lisbon have come to accept the fact that Bruno Fernandes wants to leave. They believe it's looking realistic he's going to be leaving, so obviously Sporting Lisbon are looking for a current replacement for him. So obviously Sporting Lisbon, do want the suitable offer for the player. And I did say I'd become infuriated about Bruno Fernandes' transfer saga, to Manchester United. I'd become infuriated by it because I thought we'd have got the deal over the line by now. Obviously, we have been negotiating over coming to an agreement on a fee, with Sporting Lisbon for quite some time. But yeah, and recently, the Sporting Lisbon boss, the boss of Sporting Lisbon, he came out and said, Bruno Fernandes' move away from Sporting Lisbon is probable. This is what he basically said. But reportedly, we're only willing to pay around £50 million for his current services. I do believe Bruno Fernandes' agent was recently in UK, obviously, to allegedly thrash out a deal and that with Manchester United. I do believe Bruno Fernandes' agent has also held talks with Tottenham. I do believe he's also held talks with Liverpool, because obviously Tottenham and Liverpool have been in there for him. But Bruno Fernandes' agent is basically looking for the best possible deal for his current client and all that. But yeah, Sporting has been do well. Initially, they do value him around £78 million. But I do believe Bruno Fernandes' agent has been in the UK, quite a few times. Reportedly, if he comes to Manchester United, reportedly, we're set to pay him around £5.5 million a year, which obviously equates to around £100,000 a week. But I do believe Sporting has been playing hardball, because obviously they haven't been reliable this summer, really, Sporting Lisbon, because obviously going back a couple of months ago, they showed he was going to be going to Manchester City, but obviously as he did currently confirm, Manchester City and that had withdrawn their interest in the player. But like I said, the situation with Paul Pogba, is not having any effect on Bruno Fernandes coming to Manchester United. So regardless what happens, so Bruno Fernandes' move to Manchester United is not dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba. So I still think want to currently bring the player in, because obviously he's one of our priority targets is Bruno Fernandes, and we have been in talks with Sporting Lisbon for quite some time. But he didn't actually say last week that obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was not getting particularly backed on this particular signing, because it did say Ed Woodward had said no to Bruno Fernandes, and it didn't actually say that the board have got. He did say the board have got concerns about spending £70 million on a player that's got little experience and playing to the highest level and all that, and knows little about Champions League football. And obviously, he didn't initially say that the board feels as though that is currently too expensive. So he did initially say that Ed Woodward had said no to Bruno Fernandes, but Bruno Fernandes' initial release clause is around £88 million in his contract with Sporting Lisbon. He signed a 5-year deal last summer with Sporting Lisbon, so he's in the contract with them until 2023. But £88 million, we are not determined, of course, to go anywhere near this figure. But if Bruno Fernandes comes in, he will dramatically improve Manchester United. Obviously, rejuvenate the team. He'll win us them goals that we need in that midfield, and he will, of course, add depth in that in our midfield. His tenacity is good. His work ethic and that is good. His Bruno Fernandes. So I think he will dramatically improve, because last season for Sporting Lisbon, I think he scored 32 goals in all competitions, was it, or 30? Wouldn't it matter? It was one of them anywhere. And obviously, he spent the majority of his career in Italy when he was younger. But I do believe Bruno Fernandes' first choice preference is Manchester United. Like, he's notified his representatives that he wants to join Manchester United. He's a couple of weeks ago he was talking with his representatives about a potential move to Manchester United and all that. But I do believe Sporting Lisbon's valuation does seem to be the current stumbling block. But reports came out about this the other week saying that reportedly we agreed the personal terms with Bruno Fernandes. The contract and that agreed, but the fee does seem to be the current stumbling block. So maybe now we could end up getting Milinkovic Savic now, of course, instead of Bruno Fernandes. But I do believe we need 2 new additions in that midfield. We need a central defender, we need a right winner. Some people may say that midfield and that right wing position are obviously they're more imperative than recommending a central defender in. Obviously, of course, if Lukaku leaves the football club again, we're going to need a replacement for him. So like I said, we still basically need to revitalise the squad, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United team, because there's only 2 players that are Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's at the moment, and that's obviously Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka. And I do know what squad Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does currently want to rebuild. I do believe reports came out yesterday as well saying that Ed Woodward will remain in the UK, to oversee our transfer business instead of going on our pre-season talk. Because obviously Ed Woodward is working on getting deals completed, because obviously there's quite a few players that Ed Woodward wants to get deals completed for, such as Harry Maguire and Sean Longstaff and that from Newcastle. So there's quite a few players he does currently want to bring in. But yeah, Bruno Fernandes, primarily attacking midfielder, like I said, only 24 years of age, and of course, he has still got a lot of years ahead of him, so I think he would fit the Manchester United agenda, really, really well. Obviously, as he updated you about Sean Longstaff from Newcastle, obviously, I'll give you my update about him yesterday. Reportedly now, we are orchestrating on putting around a £30 million bidding for Sean Longstaff. Now, potentially, this could be too insufficient for Newcastle, because obviously, Newcastle are wanting the region of around £50 million for Sean Longstaff, and I do believe, this is too extortionate for the player of Sean Longstaff's calibre or level. So I can't see, Manchester United willing to pay £50 million for the player. It did initially say quite a few weeks ago that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had instructed Manchester United, to get a transfer prioritised for Sean Longstaff, because obviously, he has been on our agenda for quite some time. Obviously, we've held high level talks with Newcastle about Sean Longstaff, but Newcastle have indicated out that he's not for sale, and it basically said, Newcastle are wanting the region of around £50 million. Obviously, Sean Longstaff only made his debut for Newcastle in December of last year, so obviously, he did well in his second half of last season, and I do believe, he thrived under Rafa Benitez's guidance. I think he played around 13 games in total last season for Newcastle. I think reflecting on his impressive performances, Newcastle had given Sean Longstaff a new contract, so he is under contract with them until 2022, because obviously he did sign a 4-year contract. I thought, we initially have been given a boost in our pursuit of Sean Longstaff, following the departure of Rafa Benitez. As you all know, Newcastle have obviously appointed Steve Bruce as their new manager, and obviously Steve Bruce has had his say on the speculation of linking Sean Longstaff with a move to Manchester United, and he's rubbish. He's basically Steve Bruce has rubbished Sean Longstaff joining Manchester United, because Steve Bruce has come out and he's basically said that Sean Longstaff's future lies with Newcastle. So probably Steve Bruce has clarified that he's still part of his plans at Newcastle. Is Sean Longstaff. Obviously, Newcastle have lost Perez. Don't forget to Leicester. So I think Newcastle are reluctant to offload Sean Longstaff, but he is only 21 years of age, plus he's British, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to recruit British talents to Manchester United this summer. And I'd still classify, and I've got the similar sort of thoughts, like I said with Daniel James. I still say Sean Longstaff's a prospect. I still say he needs time to develop and all that. Does Sean Longstaff, because he's still a bit inexperienced at the moment. Because like I said, he only made his debut for Newcastle in December of last year. But I do believe if Sean Longstaff came to Manchester United, he would dramatically improve in that midfield. I think he's primarily a central midfielder, so mainly box to box. He can score goals. Can Sean Longstaff? He can provide assists, like he did prove in his second half of last season. Obviously, he suffered a knee ligament injury back in March, so obviously didn't play the last couple of months of last season. And initially was a product of Newcastle's academy with Sean Longstaff. And initially, I had loan spells with Blackpool and Kilmarnock, but of course Manchester United have been in there for him. We only initially value Sean Longstaff around 18 or 20 million pounds. Obviously, Newcastle are demanding over double that, and we've made it clear anywhere. We're not intending on overspending on our current transfer targets, and but we have not yet made any official bid for Sean Longstaff. But yeah, I think we are keen on getting this current deal completed. But we won't sign 3 or 4 additions within the space of just over 2 weeks. We may get 1 or 2 players in at the max. But like I did say at the beginning of the video, there's been good news about Bruno Fernandes coming out. Nicholas Pepe and Milinkovic, Savic, and I said if we were to sign all them, we'd end up spending around £200 million on them. I think obviously to do all this, we'd have to sell players first anywhere to help us generate funds, to meet their current valuations. But yeah, like I said, I'm very, very sceptical about that, currently happening, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But like I said, we have got to be more competitive in this current window. So as I did give you the update, well, I've been updating you the last couple of days in regards to Nicholas Pepe from Lille. Now, potentially, Lille's president, Gerard Lopez, he's confirmed that Nicholas Pepe is on the verge of leaving Lille. Well, this got confirmed, was it around 6 or 7 weeks ago, that Lille had confirmed, that, Nicholas Pepe, of course, is going to be leaving. So Nicholas Pepe's permanent exit away from Lille is on the verge of completion, like the Lille president, of course, confirmed yesterday. And also Lille, Gerard Lopez, who's the president of Lille, he was also talking about, big offers, that have been put in there for Nicolas Pepe. So potentially, I do believe, in the last couple of days, we've been emerged as the favourites to sign Nicolas Pepe, because obviously, reports emerged out at the weekend, and it was actually, stemming from Duncan Castles, and Duncan Castles isn't always reliable, and that obviously, got proven, with the story about Harry Maguire the other week, and obviously, that got proven to be a load of nonsense when it allegedly said, we'd agreed an £80 million deal, which is a world record fee, and he was set to undergo his medical the other week, and that was coming from Duncan Castles, so that got proven to be a load of nonsense. But he initially said, in regards to Nicolas Pepe, he said over the weekend Manchester United had moved ahead of Liverpool and Arsenal in the race to sign Nicolas Pepe. I do believe we've had a long-standing interest in the player. Obviously, I do believe, we have progressed in talks with Lille over the transfer of Nicolas Pepe. It did initially say, we are auctioning on putting around the £70 million bidding for him, because obviously, Lille do value Nicolas Pepe at around £70 million. But he has been subject to a lot of transfer speculation, and I think his transfer saga, Nicolas Pepe's transfer saga is, now definitely, nearly coming to a conclusion, which is very, very good. But he has been widely spoken about, especially throughout the course of this window. Obviously, Liverpool have been linked to him for months. As I am aware at this moment in time, Liverpool have not yet made any official bid for the player, but they have made contact with his representatives. Also, Arsenal, I think, have been in there for him since January, but I think with Arsenal, I don't think they'll be able to afford Nicolas Pepe outright, because obviously, they've got a tight budget. They've only got around 40 or 45 million pounds to spend. So I do believe Arsenal have done. I've got a couple of players on the board this summer, but they have been in there for Nicolas Pepe. Have been there for Nicolas Pepe. Also, Everton have been in for him, but I don't think he'll go to Everton, because obviously Everton can't offer him any European football. PSG have been in for him, Bayern Munich and that have been in for him in the past. It reported out the other week, of course, that Inter Milan were in for Nicolas Pepe, so he has been subject to a lot of transfer speculation. Looking at it, he's the obvious candidate for the right win for Manchester United. He's the obvious candidate because he is primarily a winner, and I would be excited about the prospect of linking Nicolas Pepe up, the likes of, Rashford, Martial, Greenwood and all that. I think he would blend in our attacking line. He would even he'd add more pace in our attacking line, and even though we have got that pace now in our attacking line, because Daniel James got electrifying pace, you've got Rashford that's got fantastic pace, you've got Martial that's got fantastic pace. Attacking third, in that attacking third, it'd look even better, of course, if Nicolas Pepe was to come in. But obviously, he's going to cost us in the access around £70 million. But like I said, obvious candidate for the right win, and I do believe if he comes to the Premier League, it will rejuvenate his career. It will take his footballing career to the next level, and him coming to the Premier League, it will be the next step in that in his career. Only 24 years of age is Nicolas Pepe. Obviously, so far has spent the entirety of his career in France. Obviously, he's been at Lille a couple of seasons, but this player, he can score goals, he can create chances, he can provide assists, his tenacity is good, he's good on and off the ball, he's also good in the air. So I'd love him at Manchester United, and I think any team he went to, I think he'd do really, really well, and I think he would succeed expectation levels and exceed expectation levels. So, and I think if he went to Liverpool, he'd fit Liverpool's system, perfectly well. Him with linking up with the likes of Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah, and all that. I think he'd blend in Liverpool's attacking well, and I do believe his actual preference is a move to Liverpool's is Nicolas Pepe's, according to recent reports. But like I said, he's been at Lille a couple of seasons. Was the revelation for Lille last season. Scored 22 goals, provided 11 assists. I think in all competitions in his 2 years he's been with Lille, I think he scored 37 goals in 79 appearances, and of course he has still got 3 years left on his contract with Lille. So I do believe of what he's done in his couple of years with Lille. I do believe he can produce the same element of performances if he does, of course, come to the Premier League, Nicolas Pepe. So, yeah, his departure is nearly confirmed as the Lille president, and that is currently confirmed. So that's the current latest news about him. Let me just currently put on my phone, I'm on charge, because this is now currently nearly dead. Just shut this window as well, right there. So that was nearly confirmed. So yeah, we've got a lot of players on our agenda. So I want to give you the latest news now about Romelu Lukaku. Because we do know for the entirety of the summer that Romelu Lukaku has been obviously linked to move to Inter Milan, and obviously he has spoken about his proposed move and that to Inter Milan for the entirety of this summer. So now, according to recent reports, we have imposed a deadline on Lukaku's transfer to Inter Milan. So reportedly, we've given Inter Milan 7 days to meet our £75 million valuation, because obviously we want around 75 or 80 million pounds for Lukaku. So basically, we're looking to recoup the money that we did pay for
we're looking to recoup the money, that we did pay for Lukaku a couple of years ago from Everton, or even orchestrating on, getting a little bit of a profit. But I do believe, our valuation, does seem to be a stumbling block of Lukaku making his proposed move to Inter Milan, because obviously Inter Milan are struggling to meet that 75 or 80 million pound valuation. Obviously, Inter Milan, I do believe, are under financial fair play restrictions. Also, Inter Milan have been trying to offload a couple of their players, to help them generate funds, to meet that 75 or 80 million pound valuation. But of course, Inter Milan have clearly, struggled with this. But we do potentially know now anyway that Lukaku is surplus to requirements at Manchester United. Obviously, he has confirmed that he wants to leave the football club. Obviously, that got confirmed the other week, because actually, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is pleading Romelu Lukaku to stay at the club for one more season. Even though initially he has lost his place in the team, because obviously since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got recommended in, obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice preference has been Marcus Rashford ahead of Romelu Lukaku, and I do believe Lukaku has increasingly become frustrated about this, so I do believe he's unhappy with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Obviously Lukaku yet has not played on pre-season tour. Obviously he probably will get given his chance, but he hasn't played on pre-season tour as yet. So obviously when he was when he didn't play against Inter Milan, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer confirmed prior to the Inter Milan game, he wasn't going to be playing against Inter Milan. Obviously that added more speculation in regards to Romelu Lukaku's long-term future. And I do believe we overpaid for Lukaku. We paid £75 million for him. Obviously there were several add-ons, including the deal of £15 million, which did potentially rise it to around £90 million. So obviously Lukaku is our second most expensive signing. Obviously still got 3 years left on his contract term, and that with Manchester United. But Inter Milan have been, they've held talks with Manchester United for quite some time over getting a deal over the line. Obviously recently Inter Milan put a £54 million bidding for him. Obviously Manchester United didn't entertain this offer, because obviously that £54 million figure, of course, is too insufficient, and that's around £21 million 21 million lower than our initial valuation. But yeah, they recently put around £54 million bidding for him. Obviously Inter Milan have inquired about getting him on a 2-year loan. Clearly Inter Milan do want payments and that to be structured over the course of the next 2 to 3 years, because they're not willing to pay all in one go, as Inter Milan and that have currently confirmed. But obviously Antonio Conte has identified Romelu Lukaku as his number one target, because we reflected back a couple of years ago when Antonio Conte was the manager of Chelsea. Obviously at that point Antonio Conte wanted Romelu Lukaku, but obviously ended up making the move to Manchester United. But I think Lukaku described Antonio Conte as one of the best managers in the world, and I think Lukaku actually is keen on playing under Antonio Conte's guidance, because probably believes he will flourish under Antonio Conte's guidance. Romelu Lukaku. He believes he'll flourish under Antonio Conte's guidance. Romelu Lukaku, and but like I said, Lukaku's agent, Federico Pastorelli, he's obviously held quite a few negotiations with Inter Milan, and he actually said, Inter Milan are desperate to currently sign him. But the reports indicated, was it a couple of months ago, saying that, he'd agreed the personal terms with Inter Milan. It said a contract and that of 180 grand a week had been, currently agreed, but obviously, no fee has yet, come to an agreement. So I do believe our valuation, does seem to be currently the stumbling block of Lukaku making his proposed move to Inter Milan. So that does actually seem to be the current stumbling block at the moment. I did say if we sell Lukaku, it will be beneficial for Manchester United. It'll also be beneficial for the player himself. But Lukaku has been here 2 years, and obviously, he's scored 42 goals in 96 games for the club in all competitions. Obviously, he was exceptional in his first season was Lukaku, but he didn't really replicate that form, of course, in his second season. And you do know I've got strong concerns about him, But to be fair to Lukaku, I still think his ratio is good in the Premier League. His goal scoring pedigree, and that's very, very good in the Premier League, because he has scored a lot of goals in the Premier League as Lukaku. But I think we need to get rid of him, and I think if we sell Lukaku and Paul Pogba, I think it will help us with our rebuilding process. It will help us with our transition. I do believe we could generate around £200 million for their departures, so that would be very beneficial for us. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as you all know, is working on trying to keep our imperative players and that at the football club. But yeah, we definitely need to sell Romelu Lukaku, and if he does obviously leave the club, obviously we are going to need a replacement for him. Obviously there's been quite a few players mentioned who could replace him at the football club. Obviously but like I said, some people may say we don't need a replacement, because you've got Mason Greenwood, who's done really well in pre-season so far. Obviously Obviously, Mason Greenwood has scored 2 goals in his last 2 games. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has assured him more playing time going in the Premier League this season, so he's going to get promoted into the first team. Mason Greenwood was fantastic last season for the Manchester United reserve, scored 30 goals in 29 appearances, so he is the upcoming future. Like I said, you've got Daniel James, who's got a fantastic pace, and he's done well in pre-season. He's got Rashford and Martial, they've done well in pre-season. Wasn't too good in the last couple of months of last season, Martial and Rashford, but they are still a long-term solutions for Manchester United. But I still believe, they haven't emulated that level yet, so it's still going to take them a bit of more time, Rashford and Martial, to get them to that level, where they do currently want to be. You've got Chong as well, don't forget, who's done well in pre-season, but I think, he's still inexperienced, just like Mason Greenwood is. So if Lukaku leaves the club, obviously, we are going to need a replacement for him. Obviously, there's been a lot of talks going on about Paul Dybala in the last couple of days from Juventus. Obviously, I think our move for Dybala is dependent on whether we can sell Pepe or Lukaku. So obviously, if we can, obviously, sell one of them, we'll obviously orchestrate on generating the funds from one of their departures, and then obviously putting them funds on Paul Dybala. So Paul Dybala's obviously actually been relentlessly linked to a move to Manchester United. So it did get confirmed, was it yesterday or the day before? It's been coming out of quite a few media outlets saying that Juventus are preparing to sell Paul Dybala to Manchester United on one condition, and that's if we are willing to meet Juventus' valuation. I do believe Juventus want from between 70 to 90 million pounds for Paul Dybala, so that is basically an extortionate amount. But I do believe Paul Dybala's goal scoring pedigree is pretty decent. He's done well in his 4 years with Juventus, or should I say he's probably done well in his 3 years with Juventus, because obviously enjoyed a difficult time last season with Juventus, because obviously was mainly out of favour, because obviously since the arrival of Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously Paul Dybala has found game time very, very difficult. But I do believe he can show the same element of performances that he has done in the majority of his 4 years with Juventus. Of course, if he does make the move to the Premier League. But obviously Juventus are open to selling a couple of their players anyway, because obviously they want to generate funds, because Juventus spent quite a lot on Ronaldo last summer. They've done good business so far this summer. They've got Matty Stilett on the board. They've got Aaron Ramsey. They've got Adrian Rabiot and all that. But yeah, they are open of course to selling Dybala. I don't know if Dybala's got any intentions of leaving Juventus, not too sure about that. But obviously, like I said, he has been at Juventus 4 years. But his brother and agent came out a while back, indicated out saying that Dybala could leave Juventus and that this summer. He's 25 years of age, of course, so he's still got a lot of development in him. Obviously, of course, he's Argentinian, is Dybala, but he has done really, really well in the Serie A. And I do believe Juventus did get him from Panama, something like that, was it, back in 2015. So I think also Inter Milan and PSG have been in there for him. But I do believe Juventus have held negotiations with Manchester United. And Inter Milan and all that, so they have potentially held negotiations obviously over selling. Well, I think over the sale of Paulo Dybala. But yeah, so quite a few teams have been in there for him. Obviously, there's people been talking about Wissam Ben Yedder as a potential replacement for Romelu Lukaku. Obviously, there was a lot of talks going on about Man last week. Obviously, do you think Icardi would be a good replacement for Romelu Lukaku? So if Lukaku is to leave the football club, who would you, bring in, of course, to currently replace him? But so we definitely, so obviously since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, obviously anyway, three players have departed the football club. Obviously, Valencia left after he served 10 years with Manchester United, because obviously he was a long servant at Manchester United. Obviously Ander Herrera left on a free transfer, and of course Fellaini left back in the January transfer window. So 3 players have left the club, of course, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in and all that. So I also believe we need to sell Darwin and Rojo, because I do believe Darwin and Rojo have both endured difficult times with Manchester United, mainly with Darwin because he hasn't really been given a chance, and I think with Rojo he's becoming injury prone at Manchester United as Marcus Rojo. He has endured really difficult time at the club, and I think his Manchester United career, Rojo's, has been mainly affected with the amount of injuries he has sustained. I think we've put a £20 million valuation on Marcus Rojo. No, as far as I know at the moment, I don't think any team has come up to meet that, has made any offer to meet that £20 million valuation. But and hopefully if we do get a central defender in, obviously that will mean that Rojo's exit then will be looking very, very imminent indeed. Because if we do get a central defender in anyway, obviously we're orchestrating on selling one central defender, because obviously, analysing, we've got quite a few central defenders. How many have we got? We've got around 5 or 6 central defenders. But like I said, we've got to get a central defender in. We need someone that can partner them alongside Victor Lindelof in our back line, because analysing, we haven't had a world-class central defender, since we had the likes of Vidic, and, since we had the likes of Fernandes. And so I do believe, we've had issues defensively for quite some time now. We've had issues defensively, but there's been a lot of central defenders on our agenda. But last season we conceded 54 goals in 38 Premier League games. Obviously, that was our highest total, I do believe, in 40 years. So that just shows the issues we have currently got defensively. So we do know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has identified, Harry Maguire as his number one defensive target. Now, reportedly, Brendan Rodgers has obviously has had his overarching view on it all. He's aware of Manchester United and Manchester City's interest in Harry Maguire. But what basically Brendan Rodgers is saying, that Manchester United or Manchester City have got to meet Leicester City's valuation. If Leicester, of course, are willing to offload the players. So reportedly, Leicester have confirmed, they've informed Harry Maguire they'll let Harry Maguire join Manchester United or Manchester City, as long as Man United or Manchester City are willing to pay him a world record fee. Obviously, you do know Leicester do want them in the excess around £80 million. But potentially, Harry Maguire confirmed last week, he told Brendan Rodgers, he also informed his Leicester teammates, of course, that he does want to leave Leicester to obviously rejuvenate his career and, of course, take his footballing career to the next level. Obviously, as you all do know, reports emerged out on Sunday. This was coming from Bleacher Report, and they basically said that Manchester United had reached an agreement with Leicester, and he said, we agreed a deal with Leicester for Harry Maguire, and it reportedly said, the fee was around £80 million. Obviously, that's an extortionate amount for Harry Maguire, plus it's a world record fee for the current defender. So it was actually not coming from Bleacher Report, and it also did suggest out that, Harry Maguire's transfer from Leicester to Manchester United now is imminent. Obviously, it did initially say we'd had breakthrough in negotiations with Leicester, because we've been in talks with Leicester for quite some time over getting a deal concluded. But I think, if Harry Maguire does come in, obviously, if he's our third signing, obviously it's going to take our spending up to around £148 million. Obviously, I think Harry Maguire has demanded that he does want to become the captain of Manchester United. Of course, if his transfer to Manchester United does if his transfer to Manchester United, of course, does materialise. But I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to put Harry Maguire alongside Victor Lindelof in our back line, because probably we do know they'll blend in fantastically well together in our back line. But yeah, we've been relentlessly linked to a move for Harry Maguire, and obviously it's been Man United and Manchester City battling out for his services. But I do believe, for quite a while, it's Leicester City's valuation, Leicester City's valuation has currently seen to be the stumbling block of Harry Maguire, making his proposed move to Manchester United or Manchester City. Obviously, reflected back a couple of weeks ago, it was looking like the Manchester City were going to get Harry Maguire on the board. Obviously, City were seeing him as a replacement for Vincent Kompany. City were orchestrating on, paying him around 280 grand a week, Harry Maguire, and he said they were going to get him for a world record fee of £80 million. And I do believe Harry Maguire's actual first choice preference the other week was actually Manchester City, but I think City are only willing to pay around £65 million for his services. But Harry Maguire, 26 years of age, well Premier League proven, so that's very beneficial for Manchester United. Obviously, the most expensive central defender in world football at the moment is obviously Liverpool's Virgil van Dijk, who of course Liverpool paid £75 million for. Obviously, you can't put Harry Maguire in Virgil van Dijk's calibre or level, because obviously Virgil van Dijk is the best central defender in the world. And I did say in this market, this day and age, probably £70 million is reasonable, for Harry Maguire. But I say over £70 million, Leicester are basically asking for too much. But he will dramatically improve as defensively, well Premier League proven. Obviously, Leicester paid around £17 million for his services from Hull City. Obviously, he's made 76 appearances in all competitions for Leicester. Obviously, 69 of those appearances have come in the Premier League. And obviously, he only signed a new long-term contract with Leicester last summer, so he's in the contract with them until 2023. But and I think Mike Phelan is keen on bringing him in, because Mike Phelan's keen on reuniting with him, because actually Mike Phelan managed Harry Maguire during his short tenure with Hull, and I think was also tracking him when he was a youngster at Sheffield United. I do believe also Manchester United were in for him, because he initially began his career with Sheffield United, did Harry Maguire. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer initially identified him as his number one defensive target, but So yeah, still a lot of talk, currently going on about him, but he's confirmed he does, currently want to leave Leicester. I did say there's been a lot of central defenders on our agenda, but like I said with Koulibaly, we're probably not going to get him now. I think there was a lot of contradictions about the stories of Koulibaly. Obviously, we have been in for him, but I think obviously Koulibaly is going to cost us a lot more than Harry Maguire, and I do believe the only way we could probably get Koulibaly is if Manchester United, were willing to pay silly amounts of money. There's still people talking about Toby Alderweireld and all that, but I don't think he's going to be coming to Manchester United. I think there's been recent rumours going on saying now he could stay at Tottenham. Obviously with Delay, obviously he's now gone to Juventus, so he's fully out of the equation. Obviously was in for Rafael Varane at one point. But obviously it's confirmed now he's going to be staying over Real Madrid. So if we are to get a central defender in, it's probably looking likely. It is, of course, going to be Harry Maguire. But we do need at least one central defender without a shadow of a doubt. But like I said, I want to be back to being a competitive elite level football club, because we have been inconsistent for the last 5 or 6 years. And the main factor is why you can say we've been a toxic club for the last 5 or 6 years, because obviously, we've been mismanaged. This is the main factor reason, of course, why we have, of course, been underachieving. And don't get me wrong, a hell of a lot of money has been invested into the football club over the years, but I do actually believe this summer we are moving away from the policy of signing them well established players, because we've got a history of spending big on players, especially in recent years. Lukaku 75 million, obviously Paul Pogba 89 million pounds, but yeah, we have been playing catch up for the last 5 or 6 years because we've had different managers with different philosophies and all that. Obviously 3 managers have been sacked since Alex Ferguson's retirement, but I'm still very, very confident that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can get Manchester United back to glory. He has got that experience of a manager a little bit. He proved himself when he was interim manager of the club in his first 3 months at Manchester United and all that as interim manager. Obviously, he won a couple of Norwegian titles with Mold. He was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years under Alex Ferguson. Was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But yeah, so I initially said our expectations will be that top 4 at least going on into this season. But I think we'll have a better season in the Premier League this season. I don't think we'll win the league, but I think we could finish in the top 4. Maybe finish in the top 3. But like I said, we will currently see what happens. So the main part of this video, was obviously to keep you up to date with Milinkovic, Savic, Bruno Fernandes, Nicolas Pepe. Obviously, they're all on our agenda. And good reports have been recently coming out about them. But if we were to get all them, it cost us in the access around £200 million basically. And but I don't see us getting 3 or 4 players, within the space of over 2 weeks. Yeah. And anyway, your Man U Tottenham preview is coming up. That will be coming up very, very soon. So yeah. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel, and if you do consider subscribe, as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.